నమస్కారం అమ్మ.
నమస్కారం. ఓం గణానాం త్వా గణపతిగుం హవామహే కవిం కవీనాం ఉపమశ్రవస్తమం జ్యేష్ఠరాజం బ్రహ్మణాం బ్రహ్మణస్పత ఆనశృణ్వన్ ఓధిభిశ్రేతసాదనం మహాగణపతయే నమః. श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तः पुनः पुनः. ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः. ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घेते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीदयानन्दसद्गुरुं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे सद्गुरुं चन्द्रशेखरम्. Om. So we are looking at the 94th Dashaka of nārāyanīyam. In the last class, in the verse number 3, I gave a reference to a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam. Suptasya vishayalokaha dhyayato va manorathaha nānātmakatvat vipalaha tatha bhedatma di gunaihi. Kamya, the Tikakara Sridhariya Bhashyam said, Kamya Vishayanam Mityatvatapi ityaha suptasya vipalaha arthashunyaha. So whatever happens in the dream, all these experiences of various dream objects, on waking up you see that they are not really there. So that it becomes vipalaha. Means the mithyatvam of the dream objects is established as you wake up. So therefore a conclusion is made. Either it is swapna or manoratha. Manoratha means mental imagination. You just imagine things. So indriyahi ya bahihi nana buddhihi. So ya bahihi nana buddhihi ya buddhihi sa vipala. Anything that is gathered through the indriyas. Indriyas give rise to variegated cognitions. Like sabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. Nana buddhihi. Then within each one also nana buddhihi. Nanatmakatvat. Aindriyakatvat. That the very fact that it is gathered through a sense organ, it could be also the bahya indriyas or the antakaranam, the sakshi pratyaksha, what is known to the sakshi. That's also indriya gocharam. Manojanya swapna manorathavatiti. Manojanya swapnam, everything is projection of the mind in the dream, or manoratha, some imaginations. So I suggested that perhaps you can look at this as a a good example to construct how this anumana is done. So in the tarka, when you do anumana in inference, there is 5 elements in it. A pakshaha, vyaptihi, hetuhu, drishtantaha, sadhyam. Paksha means at what sthala or what, with a reference to what you are trying to ascertain something. So the standard example, you see a mountain and there is smoke and then you conclude there is fire. Parvado Vanniman, there is fire on the mountain. So the mountain is the paksha, the sthala where you are trying to establish something. In order to establish that there is fire, there has to be an invariable concomitance. That's called vyapti. Yatra yatra dhumaha tatra tatra vannihi. Wherever there is a smoke, there is fire. Not the opposite, because some fire may not produce smoke, but yatra yatra, wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So then you have to give a hetu. So how did you conclude? Dhumatvat. Because you saw smoke and this invariable concomitance which is in your buddhi, you concluded that there is fire. That you have to give an example in order to assimilate what you have derived. This inference has to be always backed by a drishtanta, an example. There has to be something that you have already established, and then only you can make this anumana. Just out of blue, you can't make an inference. So there is an example. The example is like in the kitchen, when you cook, there is smoke because you use fire. So like this, you have to have this. Then the sadhyam is parvado vanniman. There is fire on the mountain. So here you apply those 5 elements. Some of you, I'm very happy you worked this problem. So that's very nice. So I'm just how this has to be done. Paksha here is Vishaya Lokaha. Vishaya Alokaha. Aloka means here Anubhava. The word Loka itself, Lokyate Anena. Anubhuyate iti Lokaha, where you experience something. Experience means subject object. So there are various Vishaya Anubhava. You open your eyes, you see a lot of things. Your ears, you gather a lot of sounds like this. So that is called Vishaya Alokaha. That is the Paksha. In that sthala, you have to establish something. What is that? The sadhyam is vipalam. It is not, it is going to not yield anything. The fact that you have seen the variegated does not prove anything. Vipalam. Because it's all mithya. The fact that you experience many things in the dream, when you wake up, doesn't prove the existence of any of them. So vyapti here, the invariable concomitance. The concomitance that Srimad Bhagavatam verse makes is yatra yatra nana buddhihi. Nana buddhihi is because of pratiti, an appearance, like you see a lot of things on a screen. And what you see on the screen, even though nana buddhihi, you experience the hero, heroine, villain, they dance, there is a comedian, etc., etc. All are nana buddhihi, but all pratiti. So there is no palam associated with it. Tatra tatra vipalatvam. As your movie is over, you walk back to your home. None of these things are real. So the hetu is nanatmakatvat, so manifold experience, and the experience are gathered through indriyas, either sakshi pratyaksham or indriya pratyaksham, aindriyakatvat. So that is the hetu. So the point is, whatever you see with your eyes, hear, whatever, are gathered through the sakshi. And if it is variegated, it's going to be vipalam. So Drishtanta is what he has given. Swapna Manorathavat. In Swapnam you see many. And they are gathered in the Swapna through the Indriyas created by the Swapna itself. And the mind through the Vasanas projecting everything. Manoratha, you sit and then you daydream. So the Sadhyam is Yat Aindriya Gocharam. Indriya Pratyaksham, Sakshi Pratyaksham va, tat mityaiva. Mithya, it doesn't really exist. It doesn't contradict the experience of the dream. The term mithya doesn't necessarily we want to say, hey, you experienced in the dream. I'm not saying that you did not experience. Yes, you dreamt that elephant is chasing you. But in terms of its reality, it is not there. So Sat Asadbhyam Anirvachaniyam. That is Mithya. So this is the character. So this Jagat fits this rule that everything is nanatmakam. How did you decide? How did you determine it is variegated? Because the Indriyas provide you that data. So the fact that the Indriyas have provided this data, this nanatmakam like Swapnavata, even in the Jagrata Avastha, the nanatmaka experience can only be a pratiti and it is vipala, it is our mithya. So that is so therefore there has to be something which makes all these cognitions possible. The adhisthana, like the screen, movie screen on which all these characters were projected. So like this, the adhisthana of the Chaitanyam, the Chit Rupam, the Chit Swarupa, the reality Chit, the conscious principle, everything is projected. And so they appear as many. So the appearance of many does not prove their reality. It only shows their mithyatvam. So that is the gist of that verse. It's an interesting thing to reflect upon. So proceeding, the fourth verse. Introducing this verse, Nanu Vedokta Upasanadi Karmabhihi Satyalokam Praptaha Klesha Rahitaha Brahmana Saha Modante iti Ashankayam Ah. So the Shastra, there is a scheme provided, what we say the Krama Mukti and all that. That means there is karma and upasana combined, not only kevalam karma or kevala upasana, but karma upasana samuchaya, they're together. Upasana karma, so the karma is nitya naimitya karmas, whatever. Upasana is here particularly the what we say prana upasana. You meditate on the prana. Prana is hiranyagarbha. That is samashti sukshma sariri, sukshma prapancha, samashti sukshma sarira abhimani or samashti sukshma prapancha abhimani. That hiranyagarbha. So you meditate upon that hiranyagarbha, then the upasana palam and whatever karmas, that karma palam together can take this upasaka, one who has done this upasana vidhivat without transgressing any of the rules and consistently for a long period of time, then the Shruti itself says that he will go to Chandraloka and from there he will be ejected into this Brahmaloka called Satyaloka. That is the resident of Brahmaji, the creator. That is the word Brahmana. That Brahman here is Brahmaji, the Hiranyagarbha or the creator Brahma. So you don't replace that Brahma. Brahmana Saha. Even though you have come to the Satyaloka, you are another inhabitant of the Satyaloka. You may have equal status like Brahmaji, but Brahma is the Adhipati of the Satyaloka. So Brahmana Saha. So you don't replace Brahma. So you more than they, you enjoy all the benefits of the Satyaloka, and then if it happens, you may be taught by Brahmaji and you can, through the Upadesha, you can gain the knowledge. Otherwise, this exalted punya, once the exalted punya, when it is exhausted, which took you to Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, then again Punaravritti, you have to come back. Then again start the process. This kind of going to Satyaloka by karma and upasana and by akasmat taught by whoever the teacher, it could be Brahmaji himself, you gain the krama mukti, that is moksha by a krama, by a process. But if that getting there is the most difficult, because this upasana and karma being in the domain of karma, they have to be done perfectly without any defect, without any issues, no error, there's no scope for error, and should be consistently for a long time. Anyway, this is Shastra presents this. So here, that is what Bhattatri introduces that. So Vedoktam, it is not something outside of the Pramana. It is Vedoktam, Shrutya Proktam, Vedoktam. Upasanadi karmabhihi, by upasana and karma both together. Satyalokam praptaha. Satyalokam is the abode of Brahmaji, the Hiranyagarbha. There's no klesha. And Brahmana saha modante, you enjoy. Why not that prescription? Isn't that applicable here? Iti. Suppose if there is a doubt, what is this krama mukti, sir? What about it, sir? Like if somebody asks, then this is the response. Tvalloka tanyalokaha kvanu bhayarahito yat parardhadvayante tadbhitaha satyalokepi na sukhavasatihi batmabhuhu patmanabha evam bhave tvaddharmarjita bahutamasam ka katha nārayanīyam tanme tvam chindhi bandham varada karunabandho kripapura sindho. Many sambuddhis here. So the Anvaya, A Patmanabha here in the second line, Patmanabha. 12 lokat anya lokaha kva nu bhayarahitaha. The nu is indeed kva nu bhayarahitaha. Yat parardha dvayante tat bhitaha batmabhuhu satyaloke api na sukha vasatihi. Evam bhave tu adharmarjita bahutamasam nārayanīyam ka katha varada kripana bandho kripapura sindho tattvam me bandham chindhi iti anvaya. So that's the simple translation. We will look at the detailed tika. Lord Patmanabha, where indeed is there any world? Kva nu anya lokaha, other than tvat lokat, other than your world. Your world is the abode of you yourself, is Vaikunta. And I have told many times, Vaikunta means free from ignorance. Kuntasya bhava. Vikunta, then that's a bhava. Bhava is Vaikunta. That is free from fear. Is there anything other than this knowledge which gives you the reality of one absolute reality, knowledge of that one absolute? If that knowledge is not there, if there is knowledge of other, that is Dvaitam comes in, then there cannot be freedom from fear. Dvaidatvai bhayam. If there is a second thing, there is bhaya. Yat parardha dvayante tad bhitaha batmabhuhu satyalokepi na sukhavasatihi. Even this batmabhuhu, the lotus born Brahma, is born from the Nabhi of Vishnu. Nabhi is like the lotus, so tender, etc. From that born is the Vishnu, with the Brahmaji, so he is called Batmabhuhu. That is from the Nabhi of Vishnu, which is like Batma. So lotus born Brahmaji. Where does he reside? Dwelling in the Satya Loka, the highest. Does not reside, he doesn't stay there in full happiness. Na sukha vasatihi. You know why? Because tvat bhitah, he is also fearful of you. Because everything is Ishvara's order. He is the niyamaka. And what will happen to this Brahmaji? Yes, long life, all right. But his lifespan is the para. Para means 100 years. 100 years is divided into ardha, two portions, 50 plus 50. 1 human year is 1 day of Brahmaji, and another human year is 1 night of Brahmaji. So 265 days years or the 1 day and night of Brahmaji. Like that, Brahmaji lives 100 years. So that 100 is the parasabda, parardha of 50 plus 50. Now Brahmaji is said to be in the dvitiya parardha. 50 is over, 51. He is in the 51st year. So that is dvitiya parardha. And there are 2 parardhas, 2 50s. At the end of the 2 parardhas, that means the 100 years is over. That means that is the span of his life. So his life span is also limited. He is also a jiva, exalted jiva, all right, but a jiva nevertheless. He is due to some karmapala, very, very strong and very beautiful karmapala, that he has that exalted position. But it is also only karmapala, that any karmapala is anityam, so its life is also subject to an end. That being the case, evam bhavetu adharmarjita bahu tamasam narakanam ka katha. What can be said, ka katha, of the residents of narakanam, narakavasinam, narakanam? How did they come there to Naraka? Due to great adharmarjita, due to doing whatever not supposed to be done, adharma, following the not righteous paths, and gathered the papas, and they end up in this Naraka. But the Bhattatri uses the word bahu tamas, ignorance. Tamas means ignorance. Ignorance is in fact what keeps you bound, and that is Naraka. Varada, bestower of boons. So you can, I'm going to ask you something later, so it's as a precursor. He says, Varada, bestower of boons. Kripana bandho, you are friend of the helpless. Kripanaha, helpless, the one who has dhainya bhava. Kripa Pura Sindho, ocean of like mercy, please cut asunder my bondage. That is the gist of this. And the commentator, the Krishna warrior, really explains this without skipping anything. You will see that these verses here, you have been attending, some of you, all my classes. So these ideas are discussed. Same thing we discussed last week in Ashtavakra. That's also here. Then the Mundaka Upanishad that we are discussing on a Saturday class. That's also here. So like this here, it's things which we have heard, we know from other text, but here it's a revision, so to speak. And the commentator takes pain to explain everything without skipping everything. So we will follow that commentary. So line by line now. Twallokat iti, twallokat anya lokaha bhayarahitaha kva nunu, kva nu. Tat iti atra yojyam. You have to bring a tat sabdaha because uttaratra yat shabda darshanat. There is an yat later that occurs. Yat, there is an yat here. So there has to, you have to have an yat tat. So the tat. So here tat means tasmat karanat. So if you put a tat, so the yat then because of. Okay. This karanat because of. 12 lokat. So tava Shri Krishna Rupasya Vishnoho lokat Vaikuntakyat. That Vaikunta we know is the Chit principle, knowledge. Anya lokaha, anyaha aparaha lokaha Satya lokatihi. All these other seven up, seven down, the Satya loka, the highest. Bhaya rahitaha, bhayena vinasha bhayena. The bhaya of mortality. Vinasha bhaya. Rahitaha, viyuktaha. Kva nu. Kutra asti. Is there anyone other than, without this knowledge or allegorically without being in your world, in the Vaikunta, can that person be free from fear? Na kutrapi. No place. Other than knowledge, there is no bhaya nivaranam. Atra hetu maha, because there is no source of fear. In the absolute knowledge of that one absolute reality, in the Ekimeva Advitiyam reality, Dvaitātvai bhayam, only when there is another, there can be a bhayam. So even if you do little division, udaramantaram kurute, atatasya bhayam bhavati. Even if you make an alpa, a small division, then there is bhaya, because there is another. What is the hetu for this? Atra hetu maha. So what is the reason? Because of this. So that is why the yat. Even Brahmaji is not free from that fear, because his life also will come to an end. He Batmanabha, that is the second portion here. He Batmanabha, yat parardha dvayante tasya loke batma bhuhu api tvadbhitaha sukha vasatihi na. Batmanabha, Batmam Brahmanaha Jananasthanam. That is the place where Brahmaji comes. Nalinam Nabhav, from the Nabhi, which is Nalinam. It looks like a lotus. Yasya Tatavita. Anena Sambodhanena Brahmanopi Niyamakatvam Bhagavataha Astiti Vyajyate. So what is revealed by this is that Sambodhana Batmanabha. Even for Brahmaji, the Niyamaka, the ordainer, everything follows the order of Ishvara. He is the Niyamaka, sustaining order. So orders are many, but one who sustains us. The Niyantrutvam, that is the Niyamakatvam of Bhagavan. So therefore, even he is the Niyamaka of Brahmaji. What to speak of Indra, etc. And elsewhere in the Taittiriya says, Panchamo Dhavati, Panchama, the Yama, he runs at the order of, or the Niyantratvam of Bhagavan. It means all are jivas, exalted. Each one has a function, superior function, but only jivas. Yat yasmat karanat. So this yat is yasmat karanat, so the tat means therefore. Parardha dvayante, parardha dvayam, antaha avadihi. This end of the second half of Brahmaji. Yasya tasmin. Satyaloke Brahmaloke Vatsara Parardha Dvaya Parimitayushaha Brahmanaha So Vatsara. Vatsara means the year. Vatsara, para is the Vatsara, that is the 100 years. And Ardhadvaya, so in these two parts in the second half now, Parimita Ayushugu. So the age of Brahmaji is divided in two parardhas, 250 years slot. So he is in the second 50. So it will come to an end. Brahmanaha nashe tallokopi nashyati. So Brahma Loka also comes to an end. So that is the Mahapralayam. The whole thing comes to an end. So there is daily Nitya Pralaya, that's in the sleep, there is a Nitya Pralaya. Then when the Brahmaji's one day is over, there is a Pralaya. Then there is Mahapralaya when the 100 years are over. Iti. Batmabhuhu Brahmapi Anena Nija Nabi Kamala Chadatvat Nija Putravat Sarva Prakaratapi Bhayat Brahmanah Rakshitavyatvepi Nirvikaraha Bhagavan Satyalokasyapi Nashvaratvat Brahmanopi Karmapalasya Avashyam Anubhavyatvacha Na Avinasham Dadati Iti Dyodyate. His Brahmaji came from Bhagavan. So like Nija Putravati, like his own son. Just because one's own son has to be protected. But from the standpoint of Bhagavan, he is the only Nirvikaraha Bhagavan. Satyaloka also is Nashvara. It is not Ishvara. It is not Sthavara. It will also Nashvara. It is subject to coming to an end. So Brahmanopi, the position of Brahman is also obtained through some exalted Karmapala. Karmapalasya and Karmapalasya Avashyam Anubhavyatvat, because it is due to Karmapala, and that Karmapala has to be expended. So he doesn't say Avinash, since it came from a Karmapala, Bhagavan cannot change the rules. The law is Bhagavan. Na avinasham datati. He doesn't give him freedom from that nasha. So Brahmaji, as though he is also fearing that mortality, fear of mortality, because his thing also will come to an end. Tvat bhitah bhavatah jayamanat nashat bhitah bhavatah sukha vasatihi Sukha Rupa Bhayarahita Vasatihi Vasaga Yasya Tatavidaga Sanne Na Prabhavadi. So the Bhitaha, the fear is there. So he is also not a Sukha Vasatihi. That means the Sukha Rupa Vasati Vasa is not there even for Brahmaji. He is your own son. Because he is also subject to the extinguishing of the Karmapala, then he will, an exalted Jiva, all right. And so he is also not free from fear. Api Sabdartham Nirupayati. If this is the case with Brahmaji, what to speak of others? Evam bhave adharmarjita bahutamasam narakanam tu ka katha. Evam bhave Vidya karmabhyam prapta aishwaryasya. So Vidya here means upasana. Vidya karmabhyam prapta aishwaryasya brahmanopi. This aishwarya, the status as a Brahma, how did he gain? Through Vidya and karma. So someone also can gain it. Go to Satyaloka. Brahmanopi dukkha atyantika nivritya bhave. Atyantika dukkha nivritti is not there. This pralayam also, this Mahapralayam also, this creation again will come back, then there will be another new Brahmaji. The whole thing continues. Atyantika pralaya is only possible with the knowledge. So in the absence of that, others who gain lot of papas, whatever, adharmarjita bahu tamasam, adharmaihi, avvihita dharmaihi, this Vedokt, not doing the Vedokta karmas but doing something else. Arjitani, all these karma palas, Sanchitani, all accumulated in the account. This collection of these punya papas like in the account. Bahuni, Aneka Vidhani, it can be punya, it can be papa, and if the papa has to be experienced, he will be in some loka like the Naraka loka. Tamamsi Duritani, Yehi Tesham, Narakanam, Narake Patitanam, Samsarinam, Ka Kidrishi, Katha Bayahanehe Varta. What to tell? What news can I say about such people? If the status of Brahmaji itself is going to come to an end, what to speak of these people? Bhavati iti sesha, you have supplied the verb. Nam na kimapi vaktum asti. I can't say anything. There's nothing to report, sir. Sarvada bhayakrantaha narakani anu bhaya akrantaha, afflicted with the bhaya, narakani anubhavanti iti bhavah. So they will go through the experience of naraka. So therefore I am making a request. I am prarthyate. So atha prarthyate, therefore this prarthana, he varade, etc. He varade, bhakta bhishta varaprade, you will grant, he is anugrahavan ishvaraha, you will give the, grant the abhishta, whatever the devotees desire, you will abhishta varaprada. Mama bandha chedartham prarthanam sapalikartum tavana kopi shramaha ati anena vyajyate. So when you are anugrahavan and you grant the wishes of bhaktas, devotees, so it should not be a great strain on your part to make my request to free me from this bandha, this bondage. So to do that, to cut asunder this bondage, it should not be a big deal for you. It should be very easy. You should not have to strain yourself because you are bhakta bhishta varaprada. Kripana bandho, you are kripana bandhuhu. Kripananam arthanam bandhuhu rakshaka. You are a rakshaka, you are the protector of all the dainyas, the ones who surrender to you. Artha aham artatrana parayanaha tvam. I am artaha, I am afflicted. Artatrana parayana, the marga, the boat to sail across this artha, reach the other side. You are the artha trana. You are the only one who can take me away from these afflictions. Ataha, therefore, mad rakshanam yuktameva iti anena uktam. So it is very appropriate that you protect me. Kripa pura sindho, kripa pura sindhuhu, karuna payodhe. You are the ocean of the mercy. Mayi kripam kuru, you please show me compassion. Tvam Sri Krishnaha tat tasmat purvoktat karanat. Because of these earlier reasons I have given you, if Brahmaji himself is not, cannot be free from fear of fear of mortality, and what to speak of all the others who have earned the naraka, and then they have to experience the narakas, go through all these afflictions because of all these karma palas or whatever. For these reasons, you please grant me this freedom. Me mama bandham shariradi. What is the bandham that this is what I view as my bandha. If this you cut asunder, then I am free. Shariradi. Aham mama abhimana rupam samsara bandham, that is the bandha. This aham mama abhimana sariradi. Chindhi chedaya moksham prayacha iti. Please grant me moksha. Moksham, grant me moksha means show me that, give me the andakarana shuddhi and andakarana nischalata and show me a teacher. Make the provisions favorable for me to learn. Iti. That is the fourth verse in this Dashaka. Moving to the fifth verse. Very nice verse. Nanu jivo nama na ishvara tanyah. So all these all along and from the Vedas, etc., sir, we have been hearing that the jiva is not anyaha from Ishvara. Ishvara tanyaha jivaha na. If that is the case, kutaha tasya bandha moksha, then how is this bandha moksha we are talking about? Because he is not different from Ishvara. That's what the Shruti had said, and you have said it so many times. Iti ashankam pariharati in this verse. Very, very nice verse. Very, very interesting verse. This is sort of reflecting what we saw in the Ashtavakara Gita last Sunday. Yatartya त्वन्मयस्यैव हि मम न विभो वस्तुतो बन्धमोक्षौ माया विद्यातनुभ्यां तव तु विरचितौ स्वप्नबोधोपमौ तौ बद्धे जीवत्विमुक्तिं गतवति च भिता तावती तावतेकः भुङ्क्ते देहद्रुमस्थः विषयफलरसान्नापरो निर्व्यथात्मा. Vibho Yatharthyat. Yatharthya means Yathartham. Yatha Artham is Yathartham. You see something and you know it as it is. That is called Yatha. Yatha means as it is. Artham, whatever it is, you know. Ayathartham means you know it is there, but you know it other than what it is. So that is ayathartham. So yathartham. So yathartham, yathartham. Swarte, same thing. That vriddhi is swarte. So this yathartham means as it is. Yatharthyat tvat mayasya. This mayat shabda we saw before. Tvanmayi iti. So same he is using. Tvanmayasya evahi mama vastutah bandhamokshau na stah. You supply the verb. Tava maya vidya tanubhyam virachitau tau tu swapna bodha upamau. Bhadde jivat vimuktim. Bhadde jivat means jivan vimuktim. Gatavati cha bhita tavati tavat deha drumastha ekah vishaya pala rasan bhunkte aparah niryathatma na bhunkte. That is the Anvaya. E Vibho, all-pervading Lord, I am yatharthyat, in reality, mean as it is, in reality, yathartha, yatharthyat, tvanmayasya vastutah tvanmayasya evahi, essentially of your nature alone, tvanmayasya, of your nature. Therefore, bandha moksha, neither bondage, there cannot be liberation for me. Vastutah, in reality, in truth, bandha moksha na mama. There cannot be, because I am in essence non-different from you. How can there be a bandha and a moksha for me? Because if this is not the case, then if there is a bandha moksha for me, and if in essence I am not different from you, then when I am baddha, you are also baddha. Then you are also not free, because in essence I am not different from you. So how is this? You say I am baddha, then mukta iti. In reality, then it cannot be there. Yes, that is true. That is true. So then he gives the answer. Tava maya vidya tanubhyam virachitau tau tu swapna bodha upamau. These two standpoints. These two standpoints. Bondage and liberation. Okay? Virachitau. That's why I use the word standpoint. Fashioned, virachitau, by your two forms. He says it's your form only. Tava maya and vidya also. Tava vidya, maya and vidya. Because everything has to be finally, the adhishtanam is this Ishvara alone, or this conscious principle alone. Maya has as the adhishtanam on Ishvara. So this ajnanam, maya or avidya, maya is samashti ajnanam, avidya. Where can it have ashraya? So it has to have a bhava, a existent thing only on which it can have an ashraya. Does it reside on jiva? The jiva entity is not really speaking. Speaking is there. So where can it be the avidya? Where does the avidya reside? Only in Brahman. Where does the snake reside? Only in the rajju. There is no other thing there. All right, now the vidya is there. This vidya, which is the vijnanam or the vishesha jnanam, which due to that akhandakara vritti removes the difference. That vritti also, where can it have ashraya? It has to have ashraya only on that Brahman. So both the reason for maya, reason for bondage, and the reason for liberation are in you only. They are fashioned, two standpoints, fashioned by these two forms, like he says is a form, tanubhyam, maya and vidya. And what are they comparable to? Swapna bodha upamau, like dreaming and waking. So between the one who is bound, baddhe jivan vimuktim, the one who is bound and the one who has attained liberation while living, jivan mukta, the difference, bidha, the difference is only this much. What is it? So here is the Mundaka mantra meaning is given. That which both reside on the tree called body. Deha drumastha. Druma means a tree. Deha is visualized as a tree. Both are co-located in the deha only. The one, the bound, and enjoys all the karmapala, juices of the fruits of the sense objects, karmapala, etc. Whereas the other, the liberated, quote unquote, remains an afflicted free witness. Nirvyathatma, afflicted free witness, and does not consume them. Na bhunkte. So this is here, you recollect this Mundaka mantra. Dvasuparnau, Sayujau, Sakayau, all these are Dutiya, but in the Veda it is not like that. So, but you have to supply the Dutiya. The Dvivachanam rather. Suparnau, Sayujau, Sakayau, Samanam Vriksham, same tree. Parishasva Jate, they are residing together in the close vicinity. Tayoho Anyaha, pippalam. This tree has this fruit pippala. Swad atti, really, with that, eats that with a lot of enjoyment. Anashnan anyaha, the other one doesn't eat, just watching. Abhicha kashiti, it is just observing what is this other bird is doing, just as a witness. So one is the witness, the other one is the Chidabhasa identified with the Deha, etc., taking itself to be a Karta, Bhokta, etc. But both are located in the same Karyakarana Sanghada, this body. So this is the Mundaka Mantra. He just captures it here in that last line. Again, the commentator does a marvelous job, just taking step by step. We know all this, but it is very good to go through this as a reminder for us. Yatharthyat iti, he vibho, yatharthyat tvanmayasya eva mama vastutaha bandhamoksho nahi. He vibho, a sarvatman, a all-pervading Lord. Yatharthyat, so paramarthaha, paramartataha. So the tasil makes the panchami, paramartataha. Tvanmayasya, paramatma surupasyeva. I am not different from you. Tvameva aham. Iti jnanodayat tvat abhinnasya. I am not, essentially not different from you. So mama jivasya vastutaha yatartataha bandhascha mokshascha bandhamokshau bandhaha samsara bandhaha mokshaha tad vimuktihi na. You supply a verb for the dvivachanam corresponding to dvivachanam bhavataha iti sesha. Supply the verb. He iti avadharane. So very certainly how can there be bandha moksha? If I am not different from you, how can there be? Nanu yati bhagavat abhinnatvat jivasya bandha moksho nastaha tarhi kasya syatam tau iti ashankyam. Then for whom is the bandha moksha? The bandha moksha are just standpoints. Tava maya vidya tanubhyam virachitau tau tu swapna bodha upamau. Tava Sri Krishnasya maya cha vidya cha maya vidye ajnana vijnane tat rupabhyam tanubhyam sharirabhyam virachitau kalpitau. Standpoints. Tau bandha mokshau ajnana kalpitaha bandhaha vijnana kalpitaha mokshaha ityarthaha. So it's only two standpoints. The one who is bound is liberated. One who thought is bound. The notional bondage is notionally liberated. Two is Viseshe. Swapna bodha upamau. Swapnascha bodhascha swapna bodhau tat upamau tat tulyau. It is exactly like dream and waking up. Again, supply the verb bhavataha iti seshaha. Yatha swapna drishtuhu swapna drishtena dehena bandhaha. In the dream, the dreamer is bound to that body. He is running and an elephant, tiger is chasing him. He wakes up, prabuddhasya, then mokshaha. He is now freed from that fear, freed from the chasing of the tiger. In fact, there is no tiger. Tatvat ajnaninaha, like this in an ignorant one, deha bandhaha, in the jagrat avastha, an ajnani is bound to this body. Like in the swapna, the dreamer was bound to the dream body. Vijnaninaha, deha mokshascha. So he is the one who has this knowledge, he is now freed from this deha. So like the deha bandha in the dreamer's bondage to the dream body is released when he woke up. So the bondage to the body in the Jagrata Avastha is also released when he wakes up to the higher reality. Swapnavat mayamayatvepi bandhasya dukkha hedutvat Vijnanena bandha mokshaha prarthaniyaha iti bhava. But this ajnanam is causing this. This ajnanam is the reason for this bandha, notional, all right, from an absolute standpoint. But still, I am going through dukkha. There is a dukkha hetutvam is there. In the dream, I am frightened. So I have to wake up to free myself from that fear. So here also, I need to free myself from this fear of mortality, because I'm bound to this deha. The deha has death, it is subject to death. And when the deha dies, since I'm identified with the deha, I'm also dying. So therefore, the fear of mortality, that has to go by knowledge that there is no bondage to the body, etc. So prarthaniya, this has to be, is yearned for. This bandha nivaranam has to be something that one has to yearn for it. Atha baddha vimuktayoho vailakshanyamaha. So what is the difference? Baddhe jivan vimuktim gatavati cha bhitha tavat tavati iti. Interesting sentence. Baddhe samsarini, the one who is in samsara. Jivan vimuktim, jivan muktitvam. The commentator also is equally very sharp, sharp individual must be. Jivan mukti he doesn't say. The jivan vimuktim, he said muktitvam. He had the tvam. So that muktitva, muktitvam. So the tva, ness of jivan mukti. Anything which you add a ness to make it an abstract, it's only to show that there is, in reality, all this ness cannot exist other than in the chit, in the conscious principle. So therefore it's all mithya. They are all, any tvam has an ashraya to the chit principle. So anything which doesn't have an independent existence becomes mithya. So Brahman, or the reality, is free from all the tva, Ishvaratvam, Jivatvam, Kartrutvam, Bhoktrutvam, etc. etc. So Gatavati means Praptavati, Jivan Mukte ityartaha. Chakaraha samuchaye, Bidha bhedaha, Tavati iti tu artaha. Tvarta. Tavati vakshyamana prakara bhavati iti seshaya. So this jivan muktitvam, baddhatvam, this difference is only when, as long as there is baddhatvam, there is no jivan mukti. So then the freedom from that baddhatvam is also the jivan muktitvam is as though. Tam bidham eva aha. So what is this difference? Only as long as there is a baddha, as long as a difference is there, there is a baddha. When the difference is gone, then there is as though jivan mukti. What is this difference? Deha drumastaha vishaya phala rasan bhunkte iti. I'll just finish this, give me 1 minute. Ekaha baddha vimuktayoho ekaha pratamataya uktaha baddha. So in this, of these two, baddha, the first one, baddha, deha drumastaha, deha eva drumaha, is deha is the tree. Anityatvad dharmatvat, like a tree can be felled, like that the deha also subject to destruction. So the body is comparable or compared to a tree. Dehe sthitaha. Tasmin tishtati iti deha dhrumastaha san. Tasmat apratak bhutaha san. Then it takes himself to be not different from where he is residing. That means he resides in the tree. He takes the tree to be his. So like the body is taken to be his. So that is apratak san. So what does he do? He enjoys the fruits in the tree. Vishya palarasan, palanam rasaha, palarasaha, vishayaha eva palarasaha, tan, pakva palarasavati, all well ripe fruits, asvada yuktan, enjoying them, vishayan, punkte anubhavati, experiences them, Yata vriksham maruhya tatrastaka in the tree, tat palarasan, all the fruits in the tree, asvadayati, he just keeps eating. Then he is bound to the tree. Tada baddha dehastitaha vishaya rupam karma palam anubhavati. This is how in the Drashtanta a jiva enjoys the karma palas. Aparaha, the other bird, that is also on the same tree. Na nivartyatma, aparaha anyaha jivan muktaha. This is the one that finally is quote unquote the jivan mukta. Deha drumastaha itya. Because Brahman there is no mukta, is not a jivan mukta or a baddha. Ityadi. Padatrayam atrapi anveti. So here the anyaha, then you say deha drumastaha anyaha vishaya palarasan na bhunktaha iti. Na bhunkte, na anubhavati. Nivartyatma. Nirgata vyatha yasmat. Saha nirvyatha saha atma isya saha tadhavidascha bhavati. There is no affliction. Vyatha means affliction. All the afflictions are gone from this person. He just remains as a witness observing this other bird eating. Iyan eva, only this much, iyat sabdaha, so nominative pratama ekavachanam is iyan. This much only, anayoho, of these two beda. One is going through the karmapala, then there is a witness, a sakshi. So this karma, one who is going through the karmapala is the one identified with the dehadi, the chidabhasa, etc. One who has aham mama abhimana is endowed or is invested in this tree. So all the karmapalas that whatever accrues to him, he just experiences them. And the sakshi, the other bird, is just the sakshi chaitanyam is observing. So the pradibimba is the one that is going through the anubhava. The bimba is the sakshi. Okay, so we'll stop here. So the
Looks like it's frozen.
Sorry about that. I think the internet disconnected me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the closing prayer போது மட்டும் கிளாஸ்ல கரெக்டா தான் இருந்தது.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, it's all straightforward. I think we have covered in many other places, and Bhatta 3 is just summarizing this towards the end of the Nārāyanīyam. The Krishna Variyar just just because things are being explained before, he doesn't shy away from explaining them again. So he just again goes through all the details, and it's a good revision. Okay. Anything? Anyone wants to say anything? Okay. All right. Shubharatri.